started back in the 90s. You were probably one of the first people in Beirut to be throwing and hosting and playing techno parties. And it was very controversial, and you got in a lot of trouble for it. Would you ever have imagined that in 2019, when you first came to Middle East, you would be doing that in Saudi, of all places?
No, I never thought I would be here. No, I never thought I would be a DJ even, because I started as a promoter, and I threw the first parties in the Middle East, really, back then. And yes, I got in a lot of trouble. Being a woman in the Middle East wasn't easy back then, so I kind of broke down all the barriers. And it was great. It was fun. I paved the way for what Lebanon and the Middle East is, I think, at the moment. There isn't one single DJ that hasn't played Beirut, and it kind of rippled all over the Middle East, and that I'm pretty proud of this achievement.
As you should be. I think you look back at something like that, and when you look in hindsight, I think there becomes a clear trajectory to what you did back then, to women playing, whether in Saudi or across the Middle East or on global stages today. And how does that make you feel?
At home. I feel at home because, you know, this is my tribe. So when I got in trouble in Lebanon, I decided to leave, and I only got back in 2016 after all these years. It left a bad taste in my mouth.
So from the 90s all the way to 2016, you were away from home.
Yeah. And then suddenly, the new generation, I guess, woke up to the fact that, hey, this is the person that started it all. I didn't want to come back because, I don't know if you know the details, but I was held with the moral police for throwing a party.
I know all about them.
Yeah. So bringing that culture back then was way ahead of its time, I think. So when I was held and questioned about the parties that I did, I thought to myself, this isn't the place for me, so I better go somewhere else. And 20 years later, I'm here, so it's good.
Here and celebrated for what you do. It's amazing. I mean, it shows that you just never know. You do your thing and you never know. Which, speaking of which, and you talk so much about this idea of being a woman and being an Arab woman, and I'm gonna just stay back in that time period in Beirut for a moment. You knew that you could get in trouble with that, and so often as women, and especially as Arab women, given the way that we are brought up, or certainly our generation, the hardest thing that we do sometimes is to give ourselves permission to do certain things. What was it that in your mind, in your heart, that back then that made you think, oh, I'm not allowed to swear here, that made you think, F it, I'm just gonna go ahead, I'm passionate about this, I'm gonna create these events?
Well, I empowered myself, and I think it's down to personalities. My personality is very strong in a way, but also not in another way. So I think the key is to not listen to the noise and just do what you're set out to do. And yeah, I always used to say, fuck it. I never thought about holding back.